then you're also going to get the tank that brings up everything. And I usually have been trying not to use energy tanks, but usually in the final battles here, especially this boss right here, I'm going to probably have to use an energy tank. This boss is a real pain in the butt. As you can see already, I've hit him already with a couple of shots, but I haven't taken much damage away. He only has a couple abilities that thankfully aren't too bad to deal with, but it's hard to hit him. You want to shoot him in about the flashing thing and the nose on the skull here, or on the face. The timing and the exact positioning of the hit is sometimes finicky when it wants to do damage to it and when it wants to miss. All these missiles you can use to jump onto them to get up higher to deliver a shot to him. Once you're close to him though, however, he will also use that laser ability, which is harder to dodge if you're near him because the screen is scrolling and you're being pulled towards him. The red bombs that he drops out when he moves backwards, they're only a nuisance and they're only really going to hit you when you're trying to deliver shots to him, it seems like. So if you're focusing on hitting him instead of dodging those bombs, they're probably going to do damage to you. So as you can see there, I had to use an energy tank in order to refill my health there because you take a lot of damage from these missiles, from those bombs when he moves backwards, but especially the laser. The laser is the biggest problem because I'm trying to deliver shots to him and hit him for damage, but I end up being too close to him and that laser hits me and I don't have the ability to slide fast enough away sometimes. Once he is finally taken care of, we now are going to move on to the fourth and final Wily stage. Now, this is the stage that we've seen in all the other Mega Man games up to this point. We have a whole series of gauntlets against all the Robot Masters that we've faced during the course of the game. All our same strategies are going to apply to each and every one of the Robot Masters that we've already faced, but we have to defeat them, once again, all of them, with only one life, so it can definitely be a pain. So here I start off with Slash Man. Our same strategy is going to apply. You really want to avoid him at all costs. Don't be close to him because he's going to use that slash claw ability to hit you. And then when he's on the wall flashing that pink or reddish color, he then charges at you. So you want to stay away from the wall so that when he comes towards you, you can move towards that opposite wall so that you can avoid the hit, he'll land, and you can do damage to him. The hardest part about his battle still is avoiding the red jars of gloop that fall from the ceiling that either freeze you or hit you on the head, which will stop your charge ability. If one of the things land directly on you, you get covered in the stuff, and you can't charge up your ability, or you lose your full charge if you had one. Once Slash Man is finally completed, we get a little bit of extra health, and we move on to our second battle, which is going to be against Freeze Man. Now, Freeze Man was our first Robot Master that we faced off with in Mega Man 7, and he ends up being, well, compared to some of the other ones, pretty easy. Remember, he's completely reliant on your shots. When you shoot at him, he's going to jump in the air, so you can use that to your advantage when he's running towards you to avoid him. He also freezes the ground, which you make sure you're not standing on the ground when it freezes, or else you'll get frozen in place and he'll hit you. You then, when he shoots out the icicles from the ceiling, they always fall in the same exact spots every time. So let those middle ones fall, jump towards that area so that you can easily land there. jump over his incoming shot that's going to shoot directly at you so that you don't get frozen again, and then repeat the process over and over again until his health has been depleted. So with those first two defeated, we slide our elevator down and now face off with Junkman again. Now, Junkman isn't too much of a challenge. You want to make sure that you're not standing on the ground when he does his stomp move, when he jumps straight up in the air, so that you don't get, like, kind of frozen for a couple of seconds, and he can hit you with one of those falling junk cubes. He then forms a giant junk cube and throws it at you, which you can jump over, then stay away from it because he's going to come through the ground and break it. The hardest thing about him is avoiding that tornado of junk he throws at you because it freezes you in place, allowing you to be hit by any one of his projectiles or him to jump into you. You want to stay as close to it as you can because it's easier to jump over it the closer you are to it because it hasn't fully spread out yet. If it does hit you, thankfully he doesn't do too much damage as opposed to some of the other bosses in the game, so you can easily survive a few hits. With Junkman defeated, we move on to our next Robot Master, which is Cloudman. Now with Cloudman, he's going to shoot a lightning blast at you, depending upon where you're standing. If it hits the ground, it's going to cause a ripple effect, shooting 2 little lightning blasts out at you. You can easily jump over it and deliver a shot to him. He's then going to call on the power of the rain, which is either going to push you towards him or away from him, depending upon what side of the stage you're on. He then hovers back and forth, which you can slide underneath of him if you need to, and then he starts over again. He'll shoot that lightning blast at you, jump over the ripples, and then he calls on the rain again, jump over the lightning, and keep delivering shots when you can to deplete his health rather quickly. With Cloudman defeated, we move the elevator down, and now it's Turbo time. Yes, our rematch with Turbo Man. Now, Turbo Man's main ability is his Scorch Wheel, that wheel of fire that he shoots at you. It's going to shoot towards you wherever you're standing. So I usually like to stay away from the wall so that when he fires it at you, you can easily either slide under it or jump over it. It'll roll up the wall and then come back down at you. So what you want to do is avoid it at first and jump over it, then move towards the wall, whatever wall it's climbing up, so that you can easily avoid it as it breaks off the wall, charge up a full shot and deliver it to him, because once the flame lands on the ground, he starts pulling you towards him. Once you hit him with a full charged up shot, it breaks him from pulling you towards him, and then he starts turning into a car. It's easy to avoid his car form because he's just going to charge at you, and if you're on the far side of the screen, you can see it coming at you, and deliver a shot to him when he turns back into his full body, and continue to avoid. With him done, we move on to Springman. Now, Springman is definitely one of the more funny Robot Masters in the game. He jumps in the middle of the screen, and he's going to throw out 2 fists at you, depending upon where you are. He throws one right after the other. He then lands and shoots these 2 bouncing spike springs onto the ground, so you have to avoid them. When you hit him with a full charged up shot, it takes out the bouncing spring and destroys it. If you leave one of the springs standing on the ground, he won't shoot out any more of them. But however, once you've destroyed both of them, he'll then shoot out 2 more of them when the opportunity comes for it. So right here he'll land and shoot out 2 more, and we'll have to avoid him and continue to shoot him. Thankfully, not too bad to deal with. Now our next Robot Master, one of our last 2 we have to face off with, is my favorite, Shade Man, who once again gives us a nice little bow before we continue on with his battle. If you can, deliver a full charged up shot to him before he starts flying up into the air. When he's up in the air, you either want to jump over him when he slides down with that move to grab you, or move in the opposite direction from him so that you can deliver a full charged up shot to him. He will then land after a few quick dives, and start shooting his projectiles out at you. He has two these little white wavy shots, and then he shoots out two sound wave shots, which are a little bit harder to dodge, and then he will fire a big one out at you. He then flies back up into the sky and repeats the diving process after a few dives, landing again and continuing with projectiles. With Shademan defeated, we now have only one Robot Master to go, and it happens to be Burstman. No matter which way you look at it, Burstman is definitely a pain to deal with. You can either fire a lot of quick shots at him really early to destroy the small bubbles, and he'll throw out these other bubbles that he'll hit the ground with usually to start sending you upwards. He then throws out the little tiny bubbles with little bombs inside of them. If you get hit by one of these bubbles, you end up getting trapped